Hi, this is Steve Ehrman, Director of the Flashlight Program, and I'd like to explain to you how to create a matrix survey. In particular, exactly where you put the information so that the matrix survey works. Just to remind you, you really should, before listening to this recording, have read the material on the TLT Group website about matrix surveys. It should only take a few minutes, but it explains why you use them, how you use them. Um, it explains a little bit up here about exactly how to write them, that it's a string of letters and numbers. Case does matter. Capital letters are different from small ones. You can have spaces in metadata. You know that by now that metadata consists of a key, like the word here, activity, that's a key, and a value for that key, online. So this is an activity which is online. Um, Here's an activity which is face-to-face discussion. So we have some respondent pools, and you know that a respondent pool is the group of people who all get the same survey, same questions on their response form. So here's respondent pool 1 for a workshop. There's no metadata, which means that um, it's going to get question group 1, which also has no metadata. That's a match. This is a question with no metadata. Question group with no metadata is a kind of a universal donor. So this has no metadata. It goes to all these groups. This workshop has one piece of metadata, activity colon online discussion. Notice there's no space between activity colon and online. There can be a space in the middle of online discussion, but there can't be a space here before or after the colon. So online discussion with in the description of the respondent pool matches activity online discussion in the description of the question group, so that respondent pool sees those questions. Same here. Again, activity online discussion was part of the definition of the respondent pool. It's part of the definition of this group of questions. So workshop 3 sees the questions about online discussion along with the ones about that have no metadata, question group 1. This one's also got a second piece of metadata, activity face-to-face discussion, matches this one, so it sees those questions as well. Workshop 4 has only one piece of metadata, so it sees this one plus question group 1 rather, which had no metadata. So basically it's a matching process. If you put the same information in two places with the description of the pool of people and with a question, then that pool of people will see that question. If there's no metadata in either, then all the if none of these respondent pools had metadata and none of these question groups had metadata, every one of the respondent pools would have seen every one of the questions. Okay, let's see what this looks like in the system itself in Flashlight Online 2.0. All right, we're in the question authoring interface for a Flashlight Online survey. You can see in the far left-hand margin it says question group, and if we were to scroll down, each question group would begin with a little marking just like that. And here's the metadata, activity, and reflect prior. When I wrote this, I didn't realize that you can have spaces, so this is actually unnecessarily compressed and telegraphic. Now, one important thing is when you're writing these surveys, keep a record of the metadata that you're defining, because remember the case matters, the spacing matters. Saying that's something like reflection about prior learning, but not letter for letter match, the survey won't work. It has to be exactly the same here in the question group and what we'll show you in a minute over in the respondent pools. How can you change metadata? Click on Edit Question Group, and you'll see the same sort of thing when you're creating a new question group. And here's where the metadata goes. Here's what we've already got. We could delete it by clicking the minus sign. We can add some new metadata. Last name of the instructor might be Smith. So if we were to write that in and then click this plus to add it, now it's up here. And so this would mean that if we had a respondent pool where let's say the last name of the instructor was Smith, and we put last name as the key and Smith as the value in the respondent pool, then these questions, which might have been written by Professor Smith, would go to those classes that are taught by Professor Smith. And again, hitting minus sign deletes that. We'll just cancel out of this. Now let's take a look and see how you add metadata to a respondent pool. Go to the survey manager for this survey. As you probably have been able to see, this is a prototype matrix survey that we're creating for the study of ePortfolio use in an institution or across institutions. ePortfolios can be used in lots of different ways, so we need different question groups. There would have been a prior survey of faculty giving them a list of these different activities for which ePortfolios can be used. The professor would have picked several of them, and that information would have been entered in the respondent pool, that is the information describing their classes, so that their students would get those questions and only those questions about the ways that ePortfolios were being used in their own classes. So here we have the respondents. Click here. Have some respondent pools already defined. Here's one that has to do with reflection. Let's double click on that. Opening up the description of the respondent pool. Click on the tab that says metadata. And here's the metadata that's here. There's activity, reflect prior. It's already in there. Slightly different interface over here. We've got an edit button and a delete button. And here the adding the new information would be at the top. So we could put last name Smith, add. Oops. And I clicked it twice, so that's how we do that. And we'll get rid of the other one too because we don't really need it. And that's it. All you need to do, put metadata that matches in a question pool and in a question group and a respondent pool, and that respondent pool will see those particular questions. Now it's also possible if you're working with dozens, hundreds, thousands of different respondent pools, let's say for student course evaluation or a big multi-institution study or something outside education, study in criminal justice or sociology, whatever where you have a large number of respondent pools, you might want to upload this information using a spreadsheet or something like that. The information about the respondent pools and all of their metadata. We'll show you how to do that in a separate demo. But this is how to do it when you're working with a relatively small and manageable number of respondent pools. Thanks a lot. As usual, if you've got any suggestions either about this demo or about the system itself, please get in touch with me, Steve Ehrman. I'm director of the Flashlight program, and my email address is ehrmann, EHRMANN, @tltgroup.org. Thanks a lot.